Hey everyone! The story of Terry Crews is one that began with laughter, muscle, and charisma. A man who seemed larger than life both on screen and off. But behind the laughter, the fame, and the endless energy was a journey so filled with pain, betrayal, and emotional struggle that it's nothing short of heartbreaking. For years, fans saw Terry Crews as the face of joy and positivity, the former NFL player turned Hollywood star who made everyone smile in roles like Everybody Hates Chris, White Chicks, and Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Yet, what the world didn't know was that beneath his unstoppable smile was a man fighting silent battles against childhood trauma, broken family ties, addiction, abuse, and the pressures of maintaining strength in a world that punishes vulnerability, especially for Black men in Hollywood. Terry Crews' life story, when fully told, isn't one of constant victory. It's a raw tale of survival, redemption, and the deep scars that fame can't erase. And when he finally opened up about it, the world was left in tears, realizing that even the strongest bodies can hide the most shattered souls. Terry Allen Crews was born on July 30th, 1968, in Flint, Michigan, a city known for its working-class grit and resilience, but also for its struggles. From a young age, Terry's world was defined by chaos. His father, Terry Crews Sr., was an abusive alcoholic who terrorized the family, and his mother, Patricia, endured years of emotional and physical pain just to keep her children safe. In interviews, Terry has described the haunting memories of his childhood, nights filled with shouting, shattered glass, and the sound of his mother's cries. Those memories shaped him in ways that would define his entire life. "I made a vow," he once said, "that I would never be like my father. I would never hurt the people I love," but as life unfolded, Terry would discover how trauma doesn't just disappear, it transforms, hides, and resurfaces in ways we least expect. Art became Terry's refuge. Unlike most young boys in Flint, who turned to sports early, Terry found solace in drawing. His artistic talent earned him a scholarship to the Interlochen Center for the Arts in Michigan, and later to Western Michigan University, where he also played football. It was there that he discovered another passion, the discipline and brotherhood of the game. His hard work paid off, and in 1991, Terry was drafted into the NFL by the Los Angeles Rams. But while it looked like the start of a dream career, reality was far from glamorous. Terry's NFL career was short and unstable, marked by constant team changes and financial struggles. "I was broke," he admitted. "There were times I had $200 in my pocket and a family to feed." His wife, Rebecca, whom he married in 1989, was his rock through those years, but the strain of poverty, pride, and unfulfilled dreams began to crack the foundation of their marriage. After leaving the NFL, Terry made a decision that changed everything: to pursue acting, a move many thought was foolish for a retired athlete. But Terry had an unshakable drive. He started from scratch, working security, sweeping floors, and taking any opportunity that came his way. His big break came with the 2000 film The Sixth Day, but it was White Chicks in 2004 that turned him into a cultural icon. His comedic timing, fearless energy, and willingness to laugh at himself made him a household name. Then came Everybody Hates Chris, where he played Julius, the penny-pinching but loving father, a role that ironically reflected the kind of father he wished he'd had. Fans adored him, and for a time it seemed like Terry Crews was unstoppable. But behind the fame was a secret that nearly destroyed everything he had built: his addiction to pornography. Terry would later reveal that this addiction began in his early teens, long before Hollywood, and had grown into a full-blown obsession that isolated him emotionally from his wife and family. He described it as a drug that doesn't come in a bottle or a needle, but kills you just the same. For years, he hid it behind charm, humor, and success, but inside he was consumed by shame. When Rebecca discovered the truth, their marriage nearly ended. "She packed her bags," he said. "I thought I had lost her forever." That was the breaking point that forced Terry to confront his demons. Not just his addiction, but the unresolved pain of his past. He entered therapy, began attending recovery programs, and started speaking publicly about what he had endured. In a culture that often mocks vulnerability in men, Terry's openness was revolutionary, but it also made him a target. Many mocked him. Others called him weak. Still, he stood firm. Real strength, he said, isn't about how much you can lift. It's about how much truth another you can bombshell handle. Moment that shocked the world. Terry's decision to speak out during the #MeToo movement. In 2017, he revealed that he had been sexually assaulted by a powerful Hollywood agent at a public event. The revelation sent shockwaves across the entertainment industry. Many praised him for his courage, but others, including some of his own peers, questioned his manhood, suggesting that he should have retaliated physically. Terry refused to be silenced. "As a black man," he said, "I knew that if I had fought back, I would have been the one in handcuffs." His decision to pursue justice not through violence but through legal and moral strength exposed the hypocrisy of Hollywood, an industry that claimed to support victims but often turned its back when those victims didn't fit the expected mold. His courage earned him international respect, but it also isolated him from certain Hollywood circles. Some producers reportedly stopped calling. Some roles quietly disappeared. Terry paid a price for his truth. As if that weren't enough, Terry's outspokenness later got him caught in another wave of controversy. In 2020, during a time of heightened racial tension, he made comments on social media about unity and personal accountability that were widely criticized as tone-deaf or dismissive of the Black Lives Matter movement. Many fans who had once idolized him turned on him. But rather than lash out, Terry tried to clarify his message, explaining that his words came from a place of fear that hate could infect both sides of the struggle. "I'm not against my people," he said. "I'm against division. I know what it's like to live in anger, and I don't want to see that consume anyone." Yet the backlash hurt deeply. Once hailed as a beacon of positivity, Terry found himself vilified, misunderstood, and emotionally drained. Through it all, the one constant in Terry's life has been his family and his faith. After decades of ups and downs, he and Rebecca rebuilt their marriage on a foundation of honesty and spiritual healing. "She's my miracle," he said. Together they've become advocates for healthy relationships and mental health awareness. Terry has spoken openly about therapy, forgiveness, and the power of vulnerability, messages that have touched millions. Still, behind his motivational speeches and radiant smile, those who know him say the pain of his past still lingers. The trauma of his childhood, the shame of his addiction, and the backlash from his truth-telling have all left scars that fame can't heal. Today, Terry Crews is a man transformed yet still tender from the wounds that shaped him. He continues to work in television, hosting America's Got Talent and starring in various projects, but he's no longer chasing validation. He's chasing peace. He's written books like Manhood and Tough, where he bares his soul and dismantles toxic masculinity piece by piece. He has become a living symbol of resilience, not because his life has been easy, but because he's learned to keep standing in the storm. Still, his story remains profoundly tragic. The world sees his smile, his muscles, his dancing pecs. But few see the boy who watched his mother get beaten, the husband who almost lost everything, the man who faced ridicule for telling the truth, or the father still learning to forgive himself. When you strip away the lights, the laughter, and the fame, what remains is a man who has suffered deeply but refuses to let his suffering define him. Terry Crews is a testament to the fact that tragedy doesn't always end in defeat. Sometimes it leads to transformation. And yet, when he speaks, there's still a trembling in his voice, a trace of the pain that never fully goes away. He once said, "Every smile you see from me is paid for in pain." That one sentence captures everything about his journey: the laughter, the tears, the courage, the heartbreak. It reminds us that strength isn't about perfection, it's about persistence. Terry Crews's life may be tragic, but it's also beautifully human. A story of a man who lost everything that didn't matter so he could find everything that did. And in the end, maybe that's the most heartbreaking truth of all: that the man who gave us so much laughter had to walk through so much pain just to learn how to truly live. Thanks for watching.